Welcome, everybody, to the Bret Boone Podcast. I'm Rich Herrera, the executive producer of this podcast and a host on the Infinity Sports Network. Joining us right now, Robert Flores, MLB Network, affectionately known as RoFlo. Where did RoFlo come from?
That's a good question. I think when I was on the ESPN company softball team, because I'm a left-handed hitter, they said Ichi RoFlo. Because Ichiro, and then It just shortened into RoFlo. So no one ever called me that before I started at ESPN. If they did, I don't recall it, but that in my mind is where it started.
So who hung that on you at the four-letter network?
It was one of the coordinating producers there. She has since gone on to work at various other outlets and NFL Network, other sports networks and entities. So like I said, that's how I recall it. Maybe others have a different version. Not that anyone would. It's not even something worth really recollecting except me. So that's how I know it.
No, well, in baseball, everybody gets an IE at the end of their name. Richie. That's
true.
Boone. Yeah. So you didn't get a Robbie or a Flores after your name.
Oh, no. You know what? I'm glad I didn't get Robbie. That would be, that makes me sound like I'm 12 or 13 years old. So I feel like once you get into your 20s, Robbie or Johnny or Tommy, I think that they need to kind of go by the wayside and you get a adult name. But that's my hot take for the show.
Because there's only a couple people that can pull it off, right? Tommy Lasorda. It wouldn't be
there you go.
Sort of, right? Richie Sexton, Big Sexy, listens to the podcast. You can't call him anything other than Richie or Sexy or something like that, right? There's others. Yeah. I think you're right. Once you get to a certain age, then we kind of get rid of that Y at the end of the name, unless you're Booney. And then there's one,
yeah.
two,
I feel like that's almost different, right? Because that's his last name, and like you said, it kind of works with the baseball vernacular. You'd kind of add the IE to everything. So for Booney and for Richie and for Tommy, they definitely work.
Well, and then there's the original Booney, which was his grandpa Ray, and then there's Dad, then there's Pops, which is Bob Booney, and then there's Bret, and then he gets, if you ever want to annoy him, you talk about him being Aaron's brother. Because in the beginning, Aaron was always Bret's little brother. Now Aaron is the big brother and Bret's just the other brother. So if you call Booney out, he'll turn a look and I'm the real Booney, Arnie. And that's what we call him. Arnie is what the family calls him. So
yeah. Well, I've got two younger brothers, so I'm definitely familiar with sibling rivalries and sometimes how that works.
Exactly. Well, hey, we appreciate you taking time joining us right now. Of course, Bret's in the middle of figuring out, what's going to be next for him. So we appreciate you coming on the podcast and recapping this whole World Series. So Bret put out outstanding World Series. In what sense? How would you describe what we just saw in the Fall Classic?
Compelling. I thought it was a very compelling series. And it's going to go down as one of the best all time. And maybe Game 7 will go down as one of the greatest games ever played, if not the greatest Game 7 ever played in World Series history. So I thought it was really compelling. I think that there were some people, especially just the casual baseball fans, that thought the Dodgers would roll through the Toronto Blue Jays. But people, I think, within the industry and that watch the game on a daily basis, just figured that wasn't going to be the case. I mean, there was a reason the Blue Jays had home field advantage in this series. I mean, they had a better record than the Dodgers. So I thought it was extremely entertaining, and that Game 7 was crazy. I mean, there was so much that happened in that Game 7. I don't hear enough people talking about there was the benches who were clearing in Game 7.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you look at it, because a lot of people, listen, Robert, you've been around enough. Everybody has a hot take, right? There's way too many people with way too many cameras, way too many podcasts, way too many influencers out there. But like you said, I don't remember Game 7 having benches clear. You've got Yamamoto who comes in and he pulls a Madison Bumgarner, right? Remember when Mad Bum came out and did it, finish off a ball game? So you have that. You've got the home runs. You've got the opportunity. And if we were talking to Brian Kenny, he'd be able to tell us exactly what the run probability, the bases loaded for both teams coming away with nothing was remarkable. You got the guys crashing into each other in the outfield. I mean, how many more opportunities did both teams have to win?
Yeah, it was, the Toronto Blue Jays, I can't imagine what they're feeling right now because, one of their calling cards, I feel like up until game 6 and game 7 was their ability to hit with runners in scoring position, their ability to come up with the big hit. And in those last 2 games, they just couldn't find the way. They couldn't find that knockout blow, right? They staggered the Dodgers. There was definitely a standing 8 count delivered to the Los Angeles Dodgers, but the Blue Jays just couldn't land that knockout blow. I go back to the bases loaded situation that everyone's still talking about, in which IKF was forced out at home. Dalton Varsho's got the infield in. All he just needs is something in the outfield. And obviously that's easier said than done. But that's a missed opportunity. Jeff Hoffman going 3-2 to the 9-hole hitter, Miguel Rojas, who hadn't started the previous 5 games of this World Series, who I believe had 1 home run all season against a right-handed pitcher, but yet Jeff Hoffman is at 3-2 and he's forced to come in the zone. So there's a lot of missed opportunities there that I know the Blue Jays and their fans and their players and their coaching and everyone in that organization, they're still thinking about.
All right, give me your thoughts then on a young team that wasn't supposed to know that they're not supposed to be there versus this veteran juggernaut that Andrew Friedman has built in Los Angeles, where they know how to win. I mean, you said it. They had opportunities to win, but instead of shortening their swing, just getting the ball back up in the air, just doing those little things, Dodgers did it, Blue Jays didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch or a hot take to say that the Toronto Blue Jays in several categories outplayed the Dodgers. They were better defensively. I'm willing to guess they had they hit for a better average slug in this World Series, but yet they weren't able to do it. And I think that speaks to, and why the rest of the baseball world should really shudder, is that the Dodgers didn't really hit. Mookie Betts was largely invisible offensively. He did come through with a big knock in game 6. They had really no bullpen to speak of. All their most important outs from the bullpen, save for game 3, were from the starters, right? So you consider all that the Dodgers didn't do and couldn't do, and they still won it. Look, we know how difficult the game is, but they're going to be the odds-on favorite to win it again next season.
Is that good for baseball?
I think it is. I mean, look, there's a lot. That's a big, giant question, right? But let's just take it strictly from the entertainment value, right? I think that great movies, great entertainment, great sports seasons happen when you have a big bad villain. And the Dodgers are the big bad villain of Major League Baseball. In boxing, it was look, I'm not a Floyd Mayweather fan, but I tuned in to watch a lot of his fights, hoping he'd get beat.
Yes. Okay, so here's the point. So Robert, I said this on the radio.
I also understand the other parts of it and kind of the other layers to that question.
So I said this on the radio when Shohei Ohtani left the Angels. So I went to go see him with the Angels, and it was so cute. And you go in the team store, and everything is about Shohei, and he was fun, and everybody liked him, and it was great. I said, hey, you go to the Dodgers, and you join that West Coast version of the Evil Empire. Now people are going to resent you because all the money they're spending. Now you're playing for the Dodgers, not the cute little Angels. Nobody hates the Angels. You go to the Dodgers. I'm from the Bay Area. We hate the Dodgers with every fiber of our being. I was yelling. And it's my fault, by the way, that the Dodgers won, Robert, because Game 7, I dressed head to toe in my Giants gear rooting against them. So I angered the baseball god. So it's all my fault that the Dodgers won.
Way to go. Good job.
You think about this. You now have a personality in baseball. You now have the Dodgers who, Andrew Friedman, I said, and the Guggenheim Group and Dave Roberts, you can hate them because they're so good. Nobody ever hates on the Miami Marlins, but you can hate on the Dodgers. Now I think we have something compelling in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Freddie Freeman himself said it either immediately after, or he may have said it at the post game, or the World Series parade. We got to get 3 in a row because the Yankees in those great 90s, late 90s, they won 3 in a row. So look, I am not willing to put anything past this organization. They have the resources, they have the knowledge, and they have the talent. And like I said, they are going to be the odds-on favorite to win it again. And there's going to be a lot of people that are hoping that doesn't happen.
No, absolutely, 100%. Let's talk about Shohei and Yamamoto. I mean, what an amazing 1-2 punch. You think about the international acclaim that you have in Japan. They were standing up watching you guys on television all night, watching the post-game show in MLB International. Probably had, I think the numbers I saw were just through the roof. The fact that we're going to have another WBC, and I was at the last WBC in San Diego, is okay. But I have a feeling this WBC, I mean, go back to Shohei versus Mike Trout. I mean, I can't wait to get my tickets. Look, I've got my my hat back there that I'm going to wear.
There you go.
I'm going to dress up like George Washington and go root for the U.S. because that Japan team is going to be stacked. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great for baseball.
Yeah, I think that the WBC for the last, I'll go back to almost a decade ago when the U.S. won in 2017 at Dodger Stadium. I think that you can, and that was the year in which Adam Jones made that great catch, robbing Manny Machado in San Diego. I think that you're starting to see these kind of touchstone moments of this event that you can point to and see the steady growth of the event. And obviously Shohei Ohtani striking out Mike Trout to end the last WBC in 2023. That's one of those events. And obviously I am very close with Team USA manager Mark DeRosa, and he is.
So have I seen him on TV or something before?
Yeah. I mean,
I see you sitting next to him. It's like me and Booney. Booney looks like he can still play. I mean, I'm not sure. When I go to see him, when I have to go see him with the Rangers, share my buddies like, oh, look, Boone's there and he's the gun shows out there. You see DeRosa. I'm not sure how they get both of you on the screen because his shoulders are so broad.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's definitely still in shape. He definitely can still swing it a little bit, but he is so excited and just itching for a chance to get back to the championship game, hopefully win it this time, whether it be against Team Japan or another country. But he and the entire staff for USA Baseball have done a really good job of building a really good program of where and kind of a foundation where the biggest names in the game want to be a part of it. And you just look at the guys that have already been announced: Judge, Raleigh, Skeens. This is like dream team type stuff. Bobby Witt as well. So this is kind of like the dream team for USA basketball, and I can't wait for next March.
All right, let's put a bow on the 2025 World Series. What have we not talked about? What do you want to bring up when you just look at this? Like you said, that Game 7 classic. You had the 18-inning game, which, by the way, how did you get up and work the next day?
Well, a little secret, my colleague and I, Lauren Shahadi, we came up with a system where we would, because all three of us were needed at the stadium in the morning that day. So it was obviously a long day, but what we decided to do was we would switch off post-game duties every other game. Okay. So I had post-game in Toronto for game 2. She unfortunately had post-game in LA for game 3. So I definitely got lucky on that one.
Wait a second. What time did the game get done? East Coast one, because you guys, you're based on East Coast time, right?
Yeah. We were out in LA and the game started at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Right.
And I guess it ended at 11:30 Pacific.
2:50, right? Like two almost 3 a.m., right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So what time did you guys go on the air?
Oh, I mean, I look, as soon as Freddie Freeman hit that homer, because I was already in my hotel room.
Okay.
And I saw Freddie Freeman hit the homer and I was like, good night. So I really can't tell you what the programming looked like past Freddie Freeman's homer.
Well, what time do you get up in the morning?
Our show is at 10 a.m. Eastern time during the season. I'll get up at about 6:15 in the morning, 6:20. Okay. Get ready and start heading in. Obviously, you got to beat traffic in the New Jersey and New York area. But our production call is at 7:45 in the morning, and then we're on the air at 10.
Do you pay attention to, because again, in the morning, there's so much content, right? Do you remember when ESPN first started and they had Chris Berman and Canadian Football League first thing in the morning? And I was so excited to hit that. They had that AB switch on the cable box of my television. I was so excited to hit it. And now you look at it, there's Good Morning Football. There's your show. There's morning editions of everything from Barstool to everybody else. What makes your show so special? Why is it that I'm always gravitating towards what you guys are doing?
Well, I think that the chemistry that we're lucky enough to have among the three of us, it's genuine. You can't manufacture it. You can't just, make it happen. It's something that has evolved over time. But at the core of it is, we care about each other. We are friends. We enjoy spending time with one another, not just on TV. I think we have a similar sensibility when it comes to what is good TV. All three of us want to do what's best for the show. But maybe the most important thing beyond just what we provide is the men and women that are behind the camera and behind the scenes. We have a very good group, a talented group of men and women that are dedicated to doing the best possible baseball TV show. We're all pulling in the same direction, and we're also not afraid to laugh at ourselves, to hopefully make our viewers laugh. When I started on this show in 2018, I wanted to, in my head, I wanted inside the NBA except baseball, right? So they are not afraid to laugh at others, to bring humor into it, and more importantly, laugh at themselves. And hopefully that's something that we do throughout the season.
Well, because I think you have a very unique position, right? Baseball is our national pastime, and you have to respect our traditions, right? You have to respect the traditions of baseball, but you also want to encourage a whole younger generation to love this game as much as you and I did as a kid growing up. So you have to be able to balance both of those. So you're talking to a younger generation, but then you've got 70-year-olds like back in my day when I when I saw the Colt 45s, your rock and roll music. You got to be able to balance both.
Yeah, and the other thing is we know that there's a lot of people within the industry that are watching, and we take that very seriously. Look, our if you're looking for yelling or screaming or volume or hot takes, we're not the show for you. There's plenty of other shows.
Baseball's not built that way, is it?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you can make anything You can make anything you want these days, and there's people that have thriving careers in this industry because of it. But that's not our show. That's not who we are. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not looking to be the darlings of the blogospheres of bloggers, of awful announcing, and things like that. We're trying to do a really good baseball show for the fans, for the people watching at home, and for the people within the industry, for the players, for the general managers, for the managers, for the coaches, for the trainers. We take that very, very seriously. So when there are things that need to be quote unquote criticized, we will point them out in a very even-handed manner. But for the most part, we're celebrating the game. We're celebrating the players because there's a lot to celebrate. So that's kind of our philosophy. And if we can make you laugh along the way, we're certainly going to do that as well.
It is interesting. You talk about the people in the business that watch this, that you'd be surprised on who's tuning in, watching you in the morning. I worked at MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM, and I was telling a story. It was overnight, and I was telling a story about, I'm going to go out to see the Red Sox tomorrow. I think I was going to go see Bobby Valentine. I can't remember where Bobby V was managing. And I said, I can't wait to go see Bobby V. I'm really, really excited. I said in the middle of the night as a throwaway line, and then that they replayed the show twice overnight, and he heard it on my way in on his ballpark. So I show up, and I'm just standing there. I don't want to get in the way of the media. And all of a sudden, he looks over. He goes, "So you excited?" And I said, "What? What?" He goes, "Are you excited to see me?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I heard you say it 3 times because I guess he was listening overnight." And he goes, "Yeah, I heard you 3 times. I'm so excited. What are you so excited to see me for?" And then he told a funny story. And you just never know who's going to listen to you at these things.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a show not just for the fans, but for the people within the game. And like I said, that's something we take very seriously. It's something that we try to be fair. We try to be even-handed with any criticism or bringing up something controversial, whatever that may be, because like I said, it's people that are with look, baseball is such a difficult game. And I don't think I appreciated that enough until I started working at MLB Network. So I am not someone that's going to ever say on an MLB Network show that this guy stinks, or how could he miss that, or how could he not make that play? Because 1, I can't do it. And 2, this game is incredibly difficult, and they're playing it at the highest level against the best competition in the world. I can't imagine the pressure that these players, that these coaches, that these organizations have on a day in and day out basis, because the stakes are so high. That being said, when the occasion comes where something needs to be pointed out, we will, but we'll definitely do it in a way that's fair and even-handed.
When you look at Mark, right, he made everything look so easy, right? He makes it look effortlessly, and he's showing you things, explaining. Same thing with Bret. They make it look so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look in a reality. I mean, there's an old saying, the further you get away from the dirt, the easier it looks. And you've got vantage points. You've got access. You're down to the field. You watch. I tell the story once I wasn't paying attention. It was a Tropicana field, and they're trying to throw bullpen. And I'm just standing there on my phone. I don't know why I'm standing in the wrong spot. And they go, "Herrera, get out of the way, get out of the way." And they finally goes, screw him. David Price threw a fastball that missed the back of my head by about that much. And I heard the ball coming, and I heard it traveling away. And I almost lost control of my bodily functions. Nobody appreciates what a fastball coming at your head is like, unless you actually have heard it, not seen it, heard it whiz by your face.
Yeah. Like I said, it's I think most of us grew up playing baseball, and some of us had a little bit of success, some more than others. But what these guys are doing, we can't imagine how difficult it is to perform on a nightly basis during 162 against the best in the world.
So who did you grow up rooting for?
I'm an Astros fan. I grew up in Houston. I grew up going to a lot of games in the old Astrodome. So I'm a Houston Astros fan, just about a Houston sports fan. I was born and raised there. So big Rockets fan, big Texans fan, unfortunately. But yeah, that's where I call home. Used to call home.
Do you remember your first game?
I do. I remember. I think it was like in 1975 at the old Astrodome, and I remember they were pretty decent seats, and that wasn't always the case. It's not like we were uber wealthy. I mean, we were definitely just firmly middle class. But I remember just not being able to see, and being a little kid, and at certain points, the crowd will stand, and me not being able to see much. But that's my first recollection of going to a game. For the longest time, I had the ticket stub, but I no longer know where that is.
But see, you probably grew up a little bit different then. So for you, reality of what a baseball stadium looks like could be based in the Astrodome with the roof. So if you grew up in another place that, Fenway Park, you look at that, you compare everything to Fenway Park. So all my time working at Tropicana Field, I forgot sometimes what it was like to see baseball under the sun until I went to work doing the Padres pregame. And then I said, oh, this is beautiful. So it's all different perspective of where we grew up.
No, absolutely. Look, for the longest time, the Astrodome itself was the most attractive thing about the Astros. There was a lot of lean years there. But with going back to 86 with Mike Scott and that game against the New York Mets, and that series against the New York Mets, and then going with Biggio and Bagwell and Lance Berkman and Carlos Beltran and the near miss in 04 and 05, all the way up to, the most recent run with the Astros. So I've seen a lot of really cool moments, both at the Astrodome and then at Daikin Park, then Minute Maid Park. So I'm definitely lucky to have been there for a lot of cool moments.
Listen, you were on ESPN for all those years. You're a stalwart, one of the pillars of MLB Network. But have you ever had that moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm meeting one of my heroes?
You know what? I'm trying to think.
Do you ever get starstruck and like, oh, and you go back, you're a fanboy, you're a 12-year-old kid, like, I can't believe I'm meeting.
You know what? It was kind of, I think interviewing Johnny Bench.
Okay. Because
that was a guy that was, he was a larger than life mythical figure. And, as a kid that grew up in the 70s and 80s, the Big Red Machine definitely was a big part of my childhood. And I wasn't necessarily a Reds fan, except when they played the New York Yankees. So I that's probably the one where I was like, wow, that's freaking Johnny Bench right there.
From the baseball bunch.
Yes, absolutely. Him and the San Diego Chicken, and
right. Tommy Lasorda was the wizard.
Lasorda was there. Yeah, definitely an underrated show. Johnny Bench's Baseball Bunch.
Let me ask you this, and then we'll wrap everything up. I appreciate you taking time with us today. I was just thinking about this for the World Series. How many Hall of Famers do you think we saw in this 2025 World Series?
Well, obviously Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, they're in.
Right.
Who else does Will Smith have a case? I think Vlad Jr., he certainly played like a Hall of Famer. Obviously, he's got a lot of years left and still needs some things to add on his resume. But I think for me, I knew Vlad Guerrero Jr. was a very good player and maybe would be considered a star player. I did not know him to be a superstar, but I think that's what he elevated his game and maybe his reputation after this World Series. Max Scherzer, I think, is going into the Hall of Fame. Clearly, Clayton Kershaw will be a Hall of Famer as well. Who else on the Blue Jays? I'm trying to think.
That's what makes this so amazing. So I know the hot take is, oh, this is the greatest World Series in the history of the game. I'll go back to the Giants and Madison Bumgarner. You can go back to Schilling with the Sock. But if you think about it, put in the context of the Hall of Famers that we saw, then I think that carries some water that this could have been one of the greatest World Series of all time, because 20 years from now they're all going to be in Cooperstown.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Look, and if Yamamoto continues, he's a finalist for the National League Cy Young Award this year. I don't think he'll win it. In large part, I think, because the ballots were submitted before the postseason began. So, right. But if that wasn't the case, I have a feeling he might win the Cy Young. But yeah, I think that there are so many stars, and it just shows kind of speaks to the larger point that the game is in a great place. There are so many tremendous players of all types from all countries. That it is both extremely young all the way to players in their prime, and even players that you would consider veteran players. The game is in a really good place, and that's why. And this most recent World Series is just another example of the game being in a really good spot and the future looking really bright.
Well, and then let's throw in Doc Roberts. I think.
Yeah, look, he's definitely trending as someone that could be a Hall of Famer in the as far as managers go. He's got 3 World Series titles, right? He's got another one as a player. So, he is definitely building his resume and making a case for Cooperstown.
Andrew Friedman.
Yeah, look, if he continues this run because going back to what I said, they're going to be the favorite to win it again next year, and it's not going to surprise me if they're in the mix. Now, I will say, how difficult it is to not only repeat but three-peat. I feel like that's a whole nother level. They do that. Now you're talking about rarefied air of dynasties.
Yeah, and it's just amazing when you think of Dave Roberts and what he's done, and the rest of it. Boone tells a great story that their boys were playing travel ball, and Bret's hitting fungos. Dave Roberts is dragging the infield, and Trevor Hoffman is the coach, and they're just all standing there hanging out watching their boys. And then a couple years later, now Doc's got 3 World Series rings. He'll be looking for his 4th and 5th, and you see what Hoffman in the Hall of Fame. And when he tells me that story, I just laugh. Like, Dave Roberts is this regular guy, and now he's got these 3 rings. And I think we can start talking about him the same way you talk about Boch. That Bruce Bochy is just waiting for Cooperstown to make the call because it's coming. I think Doc Roberts probably is in that conversation as well.
Yeah, and you know what? He's never going to win Manager of the Year.
No.
That's just the nature of it. Look, Pat Murphy won it in the National League last year. He's a finalist and might win it again this year. That's not going to happen for Dave Roberts. Rightly or wrongly, people just look at his roster and go, well, yeah. And what they are wrong about is that they think anyone could do that, because that's not the case. That's not the case. We have seen teams that have looked great on paper. We have seen teams that have loaded rosters filled with stars, and they don't reach the heights that this current collection of Dodgers have reached. So I give Dave Roberts a lot of credit, and he probably deserves more than he gets.
And we say the same thing about Arnie in New York, that Aaron Boone, everybody goes, oh, anybody can manage the Yankees. Now, we also say that, Roflo, just to be honest with you, because his mom listens. Sue Boone listens. We don't want to make the matriarch of the Boone household upset. But, managing those big clubs comes with big expectations, big egos of the people.
No doubt.
Kind of money. It's not as easy as just filling out the lineup card and sitting there eating sunflower seeds.
Yeah, no, look, when you manage a team like the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, other teams and markets like that, I kind of equate it to, it's like 162 NFL game season, right? Everything I mean, in the NFL, they play 17 games. So what happens on that Sunday or Monday or Thursday, it is blown up. It is heavily scrutinized because there's not that many games of the season. In Major League season, when you're in those markets of those teams that I just mentioned, everything is so heavily scrutinized. It feels like a NFL season that's 162 games long. So it's not easy. And I tip my hat to anyone that does that successfully.
Are you guys working on off-season storylines? What do you think the biggest story of the off-season is going to be?
I think for me right now, what do the Tigers do with Tarek Skubal? That's the one I've got my eye on. They're not going. My gut tells me they're not going to re-sign him. So, do you trade him? And if so, to whom and for what?
Oh, the Dodgers will just go ahead and find money for him. Andrew Friedman's just got a big money tree in his backyard in Beverly Hills. He'll just find more money for him. So, or Arnie has probably a couple $1 billion in the backyard that he can go find. So he comes to be a Yankee, and then everybody in Tigerland will be upset. So that's something to look forward to as we get closer and closer to the winter meetings. By the way, do you have the greatest job in America?
What's that?
Do you have the best job in America? You get to sit around every morning, talk baseball with DeRosa, who knows a lot about the game. He's funny, and he's very respectful when he talks about the game because I like the way he explains the game. I don't feel dumb when he talks. And you have Lauren, who's awesome. I think you might have the best job in America.
I think when you put it that way, I think you might be right. And I'm done by noon every day.
Oh, come on. Seriously.
Monday through Friday. So.
Oh, by the way, I noticed this sitting behind you because we had on Al Leiter came on with us right before the series. Al had all his trophies behind him, and we've had, Boone's got all his gold gloves behind him. What do you got behind you?
I've got 4 Emmys behind me. I mean, you can see one of them right there, and then the other 3 are off the box. So there you go.
How cool is that?
Oh, it's great. It's a nice. It's a nice acknowledgement of the work that you do, and it's also an acknowledgement for the people. The people I work with. Like I said earlier, we have so many great people whose names you don't hear and whose faces you don't see that are really good at their jobs, and it's just a pleasure to work with them and kind of pull in the same direction.
Well, it's funny because Bret was part of an Emmy Award-winning broadcast. So I don't know if he's ever told you this before. Do you remember when Aaron hit the home run?
Mm-hmm.
Bret was actually in the booth.
That's right.
With Buck and McCarver. Now, he didn't say squat, so I don't know why he thinks he's an Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, but he was there. They won an Emmy. He goes, well, can I have one? And they go, well, you got to buy it, and he still hasn't bought it yet. I keep telling him he needs to buy it and then wear it around his neck when he does the podcast like Flavor Flav.
Yeah. That'd be a good look.
Around or just have a picture of himself with the Emmy, and then he puts it on the T-shirt for one of the Boone T-shirts.
That would be good too.
Yeah.
That'd be excellent.
Bret, I think. By the way, has he sent you a T-shirt?
He has not. No.
Roflo. I apologize. We have these great T-shirts.
Okay.
And Boone, I try to get on him. Bret, I didn't get any Ranger gear when he took the job in Texas.
Oh.
I had to buy my own hat.
Oh, no, that's not nice. That's not right.
Arnie's left me tickets, so I didn't mind buying a Yankee hat, but I didn't get anything Rangers. And, you would think for sure. I mean, you'd send him an MLB Network hat or something if he sent you a T-shirt, wouldn't you?
I think I will. Yeah. I don't know if I have one of those laying around, but I'm sure I can come up with it. Everyone loves free swag. So
yeah. Boney, come on, let's get on this. I just want to put it drops, and then as soon as this comes out, he's going to call Herrera and just, I'll get an earful. Robert, this has been great, man. Like I said, I watch you every morning. Appreciate what you do. I can't wait
to get
closer and closer to the WBC because the show's going to get exponentially more exciting this offseason because DeRosa is going to be bouncing off the walls.
I mean, he's definitely now into, WBC mode. There's some important things they've still got to finalize and look at, him and Mike Hill and the rest of the staff, of D-Rose staff as well. So, he's constantly been thinking about it and running over different options and different scenarios. So he's clearly excited. I'm excited for him, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Well, I can't wait because I'd like to see your critique of his game management, his game presence. Where does he sit? Does he sit down? Does he sit down? Is he like Leo Mazzoni where he's rocking?
No, he was top step as I recall for the last WBC. Is he
leaning like Aaron Boone does, where he shows off that watch that he's got the contract with? So he's showing off.
Oh yeah, I think it was just kind of arms folded, watching intently and being ready to make moves at a moment's notice.
Yeah, see, I think we need to have a performance coach critique D-Rose presence as a leader.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I won't tell you which general manager this was, but I had a general manager once who talked to our skipper about how he stands, and does he present himself like the captain of a ship?
Oh God.
So I think maybe we could look into how D-Rose stands there, and does he inspire confidence in his troops?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he inspires a lot of confidence in me. So, he's got the
biggest shoulders on TV. He's got bigger shoulders than some of the guys on NFL Network. So
that's right. That's right. He'd love to hear that.
And by the way, I have no idea where he buys his suits. Do they take two suits and cut them up so his shoulders fit inside?
He tells me he buys a lot of Hugo Boss, which is a great brand. So there you go.
There you go. Hey, I appreciate you taking time joining us. Like I said, enjoy the program, and I think you're 100% right. This was an all-star cast of characters, Hall of Famers, and I'm going to be watching this replay over and over and over again ad nauseum on MLB Network, and then I can't wait for you guys to get ready for the winter meetings to get us off to spring training.
You got it, man. Well, it'll be here before you know it. Hope you enjoy the offseason.
Yeah, Boone, don't forget, Robert Flores could use a T-shirt. Let's get after it.
There you go, Boone.
All right,
Come on, Bret.
Come on, Bret. Come on. Robert, thanks so much.